Hello. Well, I haven't done one of these for a while, so most people are used to seeing me on Tuesday evening with Matthew Holmes and the Inside Man or other guests. I haven't done a weekly roundup on a Wednesday for quite a while, so I haven't really got my core audience here, but that's okay. I'm going to start doing these again anyway. This is going to be a bit of an unusual one because I am actually going to do a proper review of Indiana Jones. Normally I'd do a gut reaction video for that, but I also want to talk about a couple of other things I've seen. So we'll get into those as well. But I have literally just hours ago come back from Indiana Jones 5 and the Dial of Destiny. It has to be said. Hey, there's Keith. Have we got to 2000 yet? Oh, look, I've got some of my regulars here. That's really lovely, guys. I'm so glad you popped in whenever I come on. Keith and David Macy. I'm not at 2000 subs yet. I'm near. I'm not there yet. I think you can check yourself to see exactly how many I have. But I think I'm at I'm like 20 away. So I'm really not far off. I'm going to be doing a mega stream. I'm going to be doing a mega anniversary, 1 year anniversary stream for the channel because it's about a year ago, roughly give or take a week or so. I did my first industry interview with Jason Flemyng about a year ago, and that was really when I started steering the channel towards being away from what it was in lockdown, which was a performance space. Because the need for that wasn't really there so much after lockdown ended, and turning it into something for creative, for the creative people in the creative industry, as well as me talking about my favorite films and stuff, but mostly with other people that work actually in the industry. I suppose that's what makes our channel a little bit different from some of the others. Anyway, let's get into Indy 5. So Indiana Jones 5. Well, it's a film that's got some good things. I'll talk about the good things first. Although it was odd seeing Harrison Ford young again, and I know that was all done with clever CGI and whatnot, I didn't mind it because it looked really good, so I didn't mind it. Flashbacks have been achieved with making people young with makeup and things like that in the past, specialist makeup and so on. If you can do it with CGI and a flashback for the story is important, why not? So I didn't mind that. It opens on a very long sequence that's primarily in Germany, 1945. I'm not going to get into. I'll say when I'm going to get into spoilers. I won't get into spoilers yet. And it's a big, long, convoluted sequence with Indy in the past with one of his colleagues. And they're trying to retrieve a certain item from the Nazis again. And that's the Dial of Destiny, of course. It's called something else, but we'll call it the Dial of Destiny. And that's the main story throughout the film, is that various people are trying to get hold of this dial and so on. So that's the gist of the movie. The first 15 minutes is a pretty... I mean, it's a good sequence for a film, but I don't know that it was a great opening sequence for an Indiana Jones film. It didn't top the Raiders sequence for me. It was very, very CGI heavy. And I have to admit that CGI heavy action does tend to take me out of action, takes me out of the scene. So I'm not a big fan of heavy CGI action. It can be appropriate, and of course you're going to need it for an actor of Harrison Ford's age. But I did find at times I was going, yeah, this is CGI, that's CGI, this is CGI, and that I found that was quite distracting. It was good CGI, but it was still CGI. Then we get into the present day for INDY, which is actually, I think it's 1969, which is when the majority of the film is set, and various characters are converging on New York to get this artifact. Chaos ensues, and we're introduced to Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character. Now, look, people either like or don't like Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I really liked her debut, acting debut, and screenwriting debut. It's a really good little comedy drama series. Fleabag, and I liked the show with Sandra Owen, certainly the first season of that. Her character did feel very shoehorned in. The script is written by James Mangold and British writer Jez Butterworth, and the script felt like it served her character more than it served Harrison Ford. Now, that may have been partly to do with them wanting to limit Harrison's shooting days. It may have been an attempt to set up Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character to take over the franchise. But whatever the case may be, the bits that focused on her character, I was bored. The problem with the film is everything in it, I felt like I'd seen it before, and I felt like I'd seen it before done better. There is a spectacular sequence towards the end, which was really good in the context for what it was. It was a lot of fun. It was kind of, wow, okay, we're doing that. And that was fun. But huge numbers of Germans always seem to be dispensed with by the switch of a single lever, which at times kind of gets infuriating. I kind of liked it when there was a bit more gunfighting, and but the action's well done. But it's I found the scene on the New York subway, that whole sequence, I found that really infuriating. I didn't find it believable. It didn't look believable. That again took me out of the movie. So it was a very uneven film. It was times where it was like, oh yeah, this feels like an Indiana Jones film. And then there were times when it didn't feel like an Indiana Jones film, and I was taken out of the movie. I don't know if any of the 6 people watching have seen it yet. If you have, put your comments in the chat. I'd love to know what you think of it. I'm trying to think. I'm still mulling over what I'd give it on IMDb out of 10. Now, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I'd give a 4. Raiders of the Lost Ark, I'd give a 10. Temple of Doom, I'd probably give an 8.5. Indiana Jones and Last Crusade, I'd probably give a 9 out of 10. This one for me, I don't know. It's somewhere between 5 and 6, I think. Maybe a 6. Would I want to watch it again? Probably not. Do I want to own it? Probably not. I mean, there were some good things in it, but it didn't have a rewatch value for me. Once I'd seen Indy 4, I never wanted to watch it again. So David is saying he's not seen it yet, but a number of reviewers I've watched feel the same as you. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, Harrison Ford is great in it. He gets some good lines, but they try to sort of make Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character is sort of trying to be cool all the time. And I kind of found that infuriating. And then I found her switch in tone at the end didn't really gel with the way her character had been presented in the rest of the movie. So that I had an issue with. Yeah, it weren't, I suddenly realised it was on at the cinema down the road from me, and I thought, oh, shall I go? Got a lot I want to do tonight. Still trying to crunch numbers and things for false accounts and sort all that out, and make sure we dotted all our I's and crossed the T's. But I really did need a break. I hadn't taken a day off in Oh my God, it seemed like a long time ago. I think I had one day off in our 2-week break, and it was a really long time since I'd sort of stopped, and that was always my my way of unwinding from stress, was always to go and see a movie, or if I was stressed by, upset by something, I would go and lose myself in the cinema. And the cinema offers very few opportunities for me to do that these days. Films are either kind of very vacuous, or I'm kind of sitting there going, "Oh, really?" I think also Indiana Jones was kind of a cool character who did cool things, but he could get scared and he was vulnerable. And he is all of those things in this movie. But now he's an old guy who, and there's a couple of scenes where he's throwing those punches, and I think they could have made more comedy out of the fact that he was old. And they do have him doing one too many dangerous things. There's also a sequence with some eels, which of course look a bit like snakes underwater. I didn't buy that scene at all, and it wasn't particularly scary for me. It just was like, oh, it's a load of CGI fish. So what? So now I think some people might disagree with me, but let me go on to IMDb because I want to sort of just comment about the cast a little bit. So let's go and have a delve. So if I put Indy 5, will it come up straight away? Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is the first thing that comes up. Indiana Jones. There we go. Okay. So I better put my ad blocker on, otherwise we're going to get ads coming up every 5 minutes. So looking at the cast, there were some good performances. There were some pretty average performances, and there were just some sort of not really consequential performances. Now, Harrison Ford is great, of course. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is okay, but I just didn't buy into her character particularly. Antonio Banderas is in a role that's completely wasted. It might be me, and again, someone in the chat, please comment if you know the answer. But they played it like Indy knew his character from a previous film. Was he in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Because I don't remember if he was, but then I don't remember much about that movie. So it's nice that Karen Allen shows up. That's a very welcome cameo. It's nice that John Rhys Davis shows up as Sala. He's great. Now, Shantae Renee Wilson plays Mason, a kind of, I don't want to say who she is with without getting into plot spoilers, but her character just sort of really didn't need to be in the film, and I'm not really sure why her character was in the film. I like Shawnette Renee Wilson, so I think I called her Shantae then, which is incorrect. I think it's Shawnette Renee Wilson. I like her as an actress. I think she's good, but I just found her character jarred, didn't really fit in the scenes that she was in. It wasn't really believable within the world that there were people around her that were killing people left, right, and center, and she was operating on a different level of policy, and the consequences for that seemed to be very, very minor. And then when something happened a bit later, it was really no surprise. But I just didn't buy into that sub narrative at all. Thomas Kretschmann's in there playing a German officer. I'm sure it was a pretty big payday for him. And Toby Jones, of course, is great in absolutely anything. Looking forward to seeing him in Bates versus Post Office, of course. Mads Mikkelsen is a perfectly good enemy in the movie. He's a perfectly good bad guy. I think Ethan Isidore's Teddy, again, his character is very much forced on us with very little explanation. And we're just kind of supposed to buy into that. However, as an actor, as a character presence, I quite liked him. Most people are probably going to say that he was a pain in the arse and they didn't like him. I quite liked his character. And I quite liked what his character did. I didn't have an issue with him. In fact, I enjoyed his scenes more than Phoebe Waller-Bridge's scenes. But again, it felt a bit forced. NASA, who has a cameo, NASA Mamazia, I'm not sure of his native country, but he's got a great cameo in this, and I loved his cameo. Now, at the end of the movie, towards the end of the movie, and again, at the minute I'm not getting into spoilers, and perhaps I won't to a degree. Josh is just asking me. They kind of set up a potential ending for Indiana Jones, and I was thinking, yes, give him that ending. That's a beautiful ending for him. And then they kind of copped out on it, and they went with something else. And actually, I was gutted that they did that. I wanted that to be the end of Indy's narrative. I don't want to say what it was. You'll see when you see the film. See if you agree with me. I didn't like the ultimate ending that they gave him. I thought it was a bit naff. I don't know if there's a post-credit sequence or anything like that. I didn't hang around for that. There certainly wasn't one after the bulk of the titles. I usually watch most of the titles. The period that the film's set in it's captured. It's okay. Again, the sequence in New York I felt was a bit so. Again, didn't like the sequence with the horse. All the stuff with the Nazis is pretty well done. There's some good sets. The interior of the train is very well handled. Oh, look, there's Harrison with his lovely wife. I'm guessing that must be Shawnette. That's a very interesting dress. Very cool. Look at that suit. Wow. Okay, well, we're getting into a fashion section now. I don't think we need to do that. So, yeah, it's got 7.1 on IMDb. I'm curious to see what are the headlines of other reviewers. I'm curious to see these. And Keith, all good. I was trying to get people on Metro Nerd Girl. I think he means Retro Nerd Girl to come over and subscribe to your channel to get you over the top. Oh, that's very kind. I think Brogu is one of Retro's. Brogu's one of Retro's regulars. Hi, Brogo. Welcome to the Outcasts Creative channel. I'm Lance, one of the co-founders of the Outcasts, and indeed the founder of the channel. And good to see you here. Keith, you're one of my regulars. I'm going to actually hang on a second. Can I do this? Let me see. Oh, hang on. Don't know. Not sure how I make you a mod, Keith, but I was going to give you mod powers. And might do that to don't know if that's worked. I've starred you. No idea what that means. Anyway, but be good to have a couple more mods, I think. Just so I've got a few more who can pop in at different times, because I'm going to be doing a lot of streams from next week onwards. Everything on the channel is going to be changing. I'm going to have more regular slots. There's lots of stuff that's going to be happening, so I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff with the channel from here on out. Right click on my name and then pick moderator. Let me try that, see if that'll work. I'll try that. I will try that. Not sure that's working. No. Don't know how I do that. It's not right clicking on your name is not doing that. I don't know. Hang on. Maybe if I go full screen, this might be easier to do. Or do I need to do that in the StreamYard thing? Maybe. I don't know. But thanks for that, Keith. Anyway, thanks for getting more people to sign up. Brogo, good to see you here. We've got lots of interesting. I know new people have found the channel recently because we are getting lots of comments on lots of our other streams. Somebody went in and watched our deep dive review of my favorite Western, Silverado, which Matt and I did a great 90-minute stream on a few months ago. Other people have been watching the David McGiffert interview. If you haven't seen the David McGiffert interview, he is the first assistant director on all 3 Back to the Future films. He did all of Sidney Polak's movies, everything from Tootsie onwards. So, there's a lot of great content there. Josh has asked about the pacing. I've got to tell you, at times when I was watching the film, I was bored. I was bored at times. It was a slog. Yeah, it just felt a bit. Yeah, I just felt a bit naff at times. It just was like I wasn't excited when I was watching the film. Anyway, let's have a look at what some other people have said on IMDb. Okay, a Nazi psychist and a fedora that defies all laws of physics. 6 out of 10. Not the final Indiana Jones movie I wanted. 6 out of 10. I mean, I got the final Indiana Jones movie I wanted. It was The Last Crusade. Didn't think I'd like it, but I did. 8 out of 10. Feels like an Indiana Jones movie. 9 out of 10. Enjoy retirement. There's a reason the third film in the trilogy is called The Last Crusade. 8 out of 10. Better than The Crystal Skull. I would say it is better than The Crystal Skull. I would agree, but that's not really a recommendation. I'm sorry, but they should have stopped after Crystal Skull. I disagree. They should have stopped after Last Crusade. Better than Crystal Skull, but confusing. Solid action, but unworthy of the whip. Yeah. I wanted some of the action to be more traditional. So one of the things I really like about Raiders of the Lost Ark is that the action sequences in it are very traditional. They're based on action sequences from older films. They were not CGI dependent. Indiana Jones and the Insufferable Feminist. Meh. I couldn't even care enough to hate it. You still gave it 4 out of 10. That's it's quite high if you felt that little about it. Okay, well that's enough of looking at those. Yeah, do I recommend it? If you liked Crystal Skull, then you'll like this. If you're happy with the original trilogy and you didn't watch Crystal Skull, you probably shouldn't go and see this. If you like Harrison Ford, it's not a bad Harrison Ford outing. It just isn't really a great Indiana Jones film. I mean, my indie films in order of preference are Raiders of the Lost Ark, Last Crusade, Temple of Doom, this, then Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That's my order. All right, okay. So that's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Let's move on to a couple of other things, because I want to talk about a couple of other shows I've been watching, which you might be interested in checking out as well. And I'm also going to talk about Extraction 2. Let's get into Extraction 2 then. So for those people that didn't see it, Extraction was a sort of came out of nowhere action film that was debuted on Netflix. I think it was last year, if I remember rightly. It was one of the few good movies that came out. I did enjoy the first one; was pretty good. Not too heavy on the cerebral content, but it was quite a fun film. And I thought that was going to be the only Extraction film we were going to see, but no, Extraction 2 is here. Chris Hemsworth's character, he plays a mercenary who takes on special high-priced missions. He's basically a good guy. He's got his own team. Most of his team get killed in the first movie, and I did actually think they were setting it up for a series of films. Until his team all got killed, and I thought, okay, this is going to be a one-off. But no, if a movie makes enough money, people will make more of them. So there you go. It's got a pretty decent supporting cast. Everybody sort of fits the jobs. The bad guys are suitably bad. The supporting characters are suitably kind of, compassionate and empathetic. The plot is pretty basic. The family and the brothers of people that got killed in the first one are coming after him. They're going to track him down. He did actually survive. He recovered. And much chaos and mayhem ensues. He's given a job to take on. It's kind of a setup, and I don't want to get into too many spoilers. Is it any good is the question. Well, one of the things that made the first film fairly unique was that they did a number of very extended long takes, a bit like the film's 1917 Boiling Point, of course, if you've seen that. For those people that are uninitiated, the camera doesn't stop rolling, and these were incredibly sophisticated long takes where the camera would even move in and out of different vehicles, sometimes whilst moving. And you did wonder, how are they doing this? Now, sometimes these are very cleverly planned drone cameras with pretty decent lenses on them. Other times it's a very, very, very athletic guy with a camera rig, and they plot the whole thing out, rehearse it, of course, and you've got a 15-minute sequence. Now, these long takes are becoming popular. Do you want to know why? One of the reasons they're becoming popular is because they save productions a lot of money. Because when you're filming, your shoot is all about the number of days that you're filming for. So a movie like Extraction, with the amount of action it's got in it, I mean, you'd be looking at a 3-month shooting schedule, at least, I would say. With the complexity of the action scenes, staging this prison sequence, for example, would have required a lot of rehearsal. So in terms of when you're rehearsing something, of course, you don't need all of the crew there. You need your key crew, but you don't need all of your crew there. So it's a lot cheaper. A rehearsal day is a lot cheaper than a shooting day. So if you're shooting, to shoot 15 minutes, to shoot normally on a film, I am generalizing here. I'm generalizing. But most scripts are between 90 to, let's say, 100, 105 pages. And most shoots of an average film will shoot between 2 to 4 pages a day. 4 pages on a good day, 2 pages on a more complicated day or whatever. Sometimes you'll shoot a page if it's just an action sequence. But if you're shooting 15 minutes, and remember, a page roughly translates to a minute of screen time. So if you're doing a take that lasts 15 minutes, that's 15 pages of your script in the bag in a single day. So that means that all of the cast and the crew, that's only 1 day's worth of catering. Whereas as opposed to 15 days of catering or 7 days of catering. So it's not just that they look good. I think these things appeal to the production on a practical level as well. Hey, if we can get several long takes in and the action looks cool, we can have our cake and eat it. We're saving money, and we're also getting some fantastic action scenes. Now, somebody asked about the character was it, what were they talking about? Indiana Jones? Oh no, Josh said, how's the main character? Is he compelling? I mean, Chris Hemsworth's very good. He's got a lot of charisma. Leroy Peterson said, I'm a Chris Hemsworth fan, but in the first movie, watching a child get thrown out of a 40-story building was hard to watch. I mean, of course, it wouldn't have been the child. It would have been a stunt man or stunt double. And even if it was part of a continuous take, there are ways of cheating that, So probably wasn't the kid. But yeah, that was a jaw-dropping scene. I remember that. I mean, these films are good. The action scenes in them. There's a firefight that takes place around a building, and I liked that sequence. There's another firefight that takes place on the back of a train, and you might as well have been watching a video game. And it's like the helicopter that's buzzing behind the train is almost like one of those bad guys in a video game. And, but he pulls the machine gun on it, and it spirals off and crashes. And I was expecting a sign to come up saying 50 points, So some of that stuff I find I like well choreographed action, but I like action to be believable within the world that's been established in the film. Now, it's established in Extraction, of course, that Chris Hemsworth's character can take a lot of punishment, and he kicks ass, and yes, that's all very good. But there does come a point where you're kind of watching, and it's like, how much damage can one man take in any kind of realistic film depiction universe? And when these things are too over the top, and they get a bit too silly, so I'm just going to grab some water. It does take me out of the movie a little bit. Extraction 1, I would probably give 8 out of 10 on IMDb. Extraction 2, I would probably give, I think, I mean, it's more of the same. Is it a better film? The action's bigger, but does that mean it's better? Some of the action scenes in the second one are far superior to the first. Was the plot better? Probably not. So 7.5, maybe. I mean, I'll give some of the action scenes a 9 out of 10, but just some of them, and others not so much. Have people in the chat seen it? What did you think of Extraction 2? Post a comment there, and yeah, guys, do smash that like button. Much appreciated. Yeah, I listen. If there's a third one, I'll watch it. If there's a third one, I'll watch it. So I'm going to talk about a couple of other shows, and I'm also going to talk about a couple of other purchases. Just reminding people again, I'm going to have a mega stream soon because the channel's coming up for its year's anniversary. I'm going to try and get a lot of guests back on that have been on it before. I'm hoping some of the people will pop in and say hi. Both actors and those kinds of guests, but also some of my other fellow YouTubers who've been on as well. That might be this Saturday. That might be this Sunday. I'm not sure yet. I'm just trying to work out my availability this weekend, but I want to do a big stream. It'll be about 6 hours. So I know me talking for 6 hours, but most people, that's a prison sentence. That's a prison sentence for most people. Just ask my actors. Melvin, good to see you, mate. Copa said Extraction 2 is one of the best action movies he's ever seen. I've got to agree. Listen, it's got some of the best action scenes in a movie I've ever seen. The prison break sequence is particularly good. The stuff on the train is well done, but it was a bit too arcade game for me. And I like the stuff around the building at the end, and the police forces turning up and getting attacked. And there was a lot of great action in this film. I mean, the action sequences are stupendous, but sometimes some of it is just so extreme that it kind of takes me out of it. It's like, really? It varies. There's Rennie, one of my moderators as well. Hi Lance, just dropping a quick like and sharing the stream. Thank you very much. Sharing the stream is always nice. If you can post, we're trying to get up to 2,000 subs, and that will definitely help. Yeah, I mean, okay, maybe I've got to give Extraction 2 an 8 out of 10. I give the action scenes 9.5 out of 10 for both of these movies. But the narrative, I mean, I just think the stories could be a bit better sometimes, and then we could have great action with great stories. And some characters do die in this, some of the good guys, and there's not really sufficient setup for me to feel their loss. Now, if you're talking about a movie like Wild Geese, when characters get killed in that, I mean, you proper feel it. So if you haven't seen the film Wild Geese, which I know Josh hasn't, the whole film is on YouTube. You should check it out. It's an action film which was shot in 1976. I think it was released in the UK in 1977. And I'm going to be doing a live stream about that in the near future. But it's one of those films where you really feel it when people die, because you like the characters and you feel their loss. In this, there's a few kind of peripheral characters around Hemsworth. We don't really get to know them, so we don't really feel it when they die, sadly. All right, I'm going to talk about TV series that I've been really getting into that I'd like to recommend people. But before I do that, let's talk about my new Blu-ray purchases in June. Now, I don't get many films now because money is tight. And I mean, I haven't got a family, so who are they going to go to? But I have picked up a couple of things, so I'm going to talk about them quickly. I picked up, still haven't unwrapped it yet. We're going to be doing a special stream about this. I picked up Midnight Run, and I think we're going to be doing a buddy cop duo stream where we're going to do Midnight Run, and we're going to do another film. I think maybe Running Scared. We might do Running Scared, which is definitely my favorite cop buddy movie of all time. This isn't a cop buddy movie because neither of the people in this film are cops, but it is a buddy film. If you haven't seen Midnight Run, it came out in 1988. It's also mentioned in my new book. Hey, I should plug the book, shouldn't I? I'm terrible at plugging myself. So I'll do that quickly now. I've got a new book out called 1988. If you haven't heard about it already, it's on Amazon. Check it out. It's all got all the films that I saw that year. They're all reviewed in it. But it's also my diary from that year. A diary which I would say is very embarrassing for me and will be very entertaining for you. So Midnight Run, good film. Now, a film that I saw as a double bill with Warlords of Atlantis, which we mentioned on our top 5 fantasy films last night. It wasn't in the top 5, but we did give it a mention. A film that I saw as a double bill with Warlords of Atlantis was Gumble Rally, which is effectively the first Cannonball Run film. And I remembered it really well, and I liked it a lot better than Cannonball Run. I've watched it again. I watched it again the other night with Michael Saracen in the lead. And a number of other known faces in there. A very young Gary Busey is in the film. If you liked your Cannonball Run sort of type chase race movies, this one's worth checking out. It's a lot more grounded than the Cannonball Run films, which are sort of very much played for laughs. This one's a bit more, plays about the race a little bit more. A lot of comedy. Dial of Soap. Darth Plato, by the way, good to see you, mate. Thanks for popping in. Another regular on Retro Nerd Girls channel, and I believe Darth Plato has also got a channel of his own. If that's true, Darth, please drop the link in the chat if you can, if you're allowed to. If you're not, then send it to me and I'll see if I can do that for you. So yeah, those are the 2 things I purchased. Now, one other thing that I did try and watch in between, I didn't really get to watch much when I was doing False Accounts, but occasionally, it's been really hot in the UK and I couldn't sleep, so I would stick on a show. And one of the shows I've been catching up on, which I hadn't seen for a while, is one that probably most of you haven't got into yet. Brogu, yeah, let me pick up on that question in just a second, buddy. I have got something to say about that. So Mayan MC, which is a sort of parallel series, exists in the same universe as Sons of Anarchy. It was a slow burn because, of course, first season it was very unfairly compared to Sons of Anarchy, which had iconic characters, iconic actors, which had been able to grow over 7 seasons. And Sons of Anarchy took a long time to find its audience. It didn't have people watching it from day one. And I mean, I binged seasons 1 to 3 because it suddenly came to my video shop. Remember those? And I think it was the last thing I ever rented. And I rented 3 box sets of Sons of Anarchy. Now, Sons of Anarchy was developed by Kurt Sutter. Kurt Sutter is the main writer on the television series The Shield, which I have the entire series of here. They're all here. All the box sets of them are here. Probably one of the best cop shows ever. If you've not seen it, you should. I guarantee you get through season 1, you're going to want to watch all 7 seasons. We're going to do a specialist Shield stream. That's something I've been wanting to do for ages. I know there's another channel that did every episode. I was even going to do that at one point. I may still do that. We'll see. But Mayans is a good show. I've got to say, Mayans is a good show. It's really grown on me. It took a while for me to get into it, but there's some fantastic characters in there. There's some fantastic actors in the show. You've got some. I like the Mexican culture that explores of the biker gangs. It's very different from the Americans, slightly different values, slightly different objectives. And you've got some really good cast. JD Pardo kind of plays your lead. You're almost like your Jax character, if you like. Very different from Jax, but heading down a very similar road. Now, there's an actor on the right here who I want to give a shout out to, Frankie Loyal. He's a really good character actor who probably doesn't come from a traditional acting background, I'm going to say. And he's just naturally excellent. I don't think he probably realizes how good he is. I really like him. In fact, a lot of the actors in this show aren't your kind of, I went to drama school for 4 years type of actors. There are a couple like that, but there are a lot of people that come from different and interesting backgrounds. One of my Kim Coates has a cameo. He pops up in one episode. One of my also Emilio Rivera, another fantastic actor who also pops up, I think, in The Shield. He's also been in Sons of Anarchy, playing the same character. There's a lot of crossover stuff between the two worlds, and I really like it. Now, Melvin, that is an idea for a stream: The Shield versus The Wire. It's funny because I've discussed that before, and I think it's unfair to say one is better than the other because they're actually very, very different tempos in terms of shows. But the one that's the most rewatchable for me is The Shield. I've only watched The Wire all the way through twice. I've watched The Shield all the way through 6 times. So, yeah, it's I can't recommend The Shield more highly. There's an actor on here who I talked about in a blog. Michael Irby is a very good actor. He kind of is the original top guy in the show, has to step down. You've got a lot of really good supporting actors in this who are, like I said, who are not from that kind of background. And one of the actors I really wanted to shout out is Richard Cabral. I follow him on Twitter. I recommended him in my top 10 American character actors of all time. He's had a very interesting background growing up. I think he's a phenomenal actor with a really interesting face, and I really hope his career goes from strength to strength. His time on Mayans is over. Don't want to say any more than that, but he's a fantastic actor. Andre Cortez is very good in the show as well. So, I mean, this is a show that's populated with a really good cast, and I think it takes a while because so many of them they're really not names in this show. There's Frankie Loyal again, who I mentioned earlier. These are not big name actors when the show started out. I mean, Emilio Rivera, of course, has a very established career, but a lot of the actors in this have done a few bits here and there, or they've done nothing. All credit to them for being so good, and the chemistry between the cast is really excellent. And I suspect that's probably partly down to the way the producers managed the whole thing on set. Sarah Bulger is very good in this. She has a character that works with the cartel. So there's a lot of stuff about the Mexican cartel. There's lots of subplots. It's a very similar structure to Sons of Anarchy. I don't know if anyone's seen it in the chat. If you have, let me know. Let me know your thoughts, your comments. If you haven't seen it and you want a new show to get into, and you have seen Sons of Anarchy and you liked it, I definitely recommend Minds. If you haven't seen Sons of Anarchy, I would say watch the first 4 episodes, and if it's not for you, then this probably won't be either. But you can watch this without having seen Sons of Anarchy, and you could watch them the other way round. There's no reason why you can't. This, in the timeline, this show is set slightly ahead of where there's a bit where it overlaps, and then I think it goes ahead of Sons of Anarchy. So great show. And another good actor, in the show, Clayton Cardenas, who plays JD Pardo's brother. He has a great arc with his character. I like the arcs with the characters in this show. You can always tell a show that's well written when the characters don't end up where they start, and that's one of the things I really like about it. So this is great. I've had 6 people constantly watching. I had 12 at one point, so just goes to show how the channel's growing. Thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in and supporting me, because this channel is going to be a big thing for me going forward. Now it's going to be taking up most of my time for the rest of this year, and it's something I really want to focus on because I really enjoy it, and I enjoy interacting with all of you that come in. I enjoy getting the guests on and getting a bit of banter going with them. And I've had some fantastic feedback from running the channel lately. So thank you for those kind comments, both under different streams that we've had and also in private. So I do recommend Mayan MC. I think there was one other show that I was going to talk about. Let me just double check. I did not see Fast and Furious 10. I have no desire to watch it. I may watch it at some point. I still haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I was in rehearsals when it came out. I just did not have time to go to the cinema. So Josh is asking me, have you seen the new Superman actor, David Corenswet, in anything? He's been in like The Pearl, The Politician, We Own This City, Hollywood. I have seen all of Hollywood. So is there a new Superman TV show, or is this Superman appearing somewhere else? Let me know. I have seen the show Hollywood. I had a friend who was in that. I watched the whole thing. So people are asking about Secret Invasion. Now I'm going to watch that tonight, actually. So when I get off this stream, I'll probably put Secret Invasion on. I'm also going to check out Hijack with Idris Elba. So I'll be talking about both of those next week. Yeah, Guardians 3, worth your time. Yeah, and I'm not going to see it in the cinema now because it's come down now, but I will check it out. There's some other TV shows I have been watching. I watched Silo, which was pretty good. It got a bit repetitive, but it's listen, if you like your science fiction, which I know you do, Josh, it's a good, solid sci-fi show. It won't be for everybody. It's quite a cerebral show. There is action in it, but there isn't loads of action. Oh yeah, I did watch something else, and I don't normally bitch about stuff on this channel, but oh man, what were they thinking? I watched the first episode of The Full Monty. Now, those people who don't know what The Full Monty is, it was a big hit back in, I think it was about 1992. It was set in Sheffield, which, for those people who don't know, is a northern industrial town in the middle of England. And it was famous for its steel. In the time when it was the heart of the steel industry in the UK. And then, of course, Thatcher came along and broke up a lot of our industry and privatized things and stuff like that. And, it kind of went under. Sheffield became a city of poverty for a period, and there was not a lot of money. There was, working class people trying to get by, a lot of people high unemployment, that kind of thing. So the film The Full Monty was set in the aftermath of that. It was about sort of like 5-6 guys that got together, maybe 5 of them, I forget. And they were fairly average guys, but they decided they were going to do, for one night only, they were going to do The Full Monty. They were going to do a strip show and see if they could make a lot of money in a single night. And it was a fun movie, and it was really well done, and it was a good laugh, and it was a fun film. And of course, the whole premise of it is that they've got to do this striptease. So the movie the TV series picks up 20 years later. I think it's a Disney show. I forget which channel I watched it on now. I think it was Disney. And it's just not very good. The characters sort of outside of the world that they were in before don't really have a lot of mileage. They bring some new characters, some younger characters in. Not really engaged with them. I like the cast. I like the lead cast. I'll get the thing. In fact, one of the actors in it gave me my first award. He presented it to me on stage, and I'll tell you exactly who that was. But and I do like Robert Carlyle. He's a great actor. He's a very intense actor who's done some amazing performances. I like Mark Addy, who a lot of people will remember from Game of Thrones. Paul Barber is the actor who gave me my first award. And then I think there was an issue with one of the cast, Tom Wilkinson, fantastic actor as well. There was an issue with one of the cast, and they had to do a big reshoot, and he was taken out. And I don't think these things were, I think there's some allegations. Don't think there was anything was ever proved. Again, I don't know. I'm not privy to this information, but I have a feeling that rapid rewrites may have been involved, and I'm not sure that they really helped Hugo Spear. So he was to have been in all of the episodes. I think they cut his role to the bare minimum. Arnold Ocheng is in it. He's a great actor. I've shouted him out before. I proper rate him as an actor. I think he's really good. Like to see him in more things. I just don't think that a story about a TV show about the original guys who decided to make money by doing a striptease, who are now no longer doing that, and it's just about their lives. It just isn't very good. I don't know. I don't know if anyone else in the chat has seen it. Some of you probably don't even know what the Full Monty is. But it just, I watched the first episode and I had no interest in watching the rest of it. I skipped. It's a bit naughty, but I skipped to the last episode, and I then watched the last episode, and I just wasn't. It wasn't like I was like, oh my god, all these things have happened. I've got to go back and watch it. I just didn't have that for me at all. Just wasn't like that, So I don't know. I don't know what happened there. But oh, sorry, Rennie just highlighted that again. Josh didn't even know what it was until I mentioned it. Well, yeah, that's mate. I accept that as a given with you normally. But yeah, it's listen. You might want to check it out if you enjoyed the movie. I didn't enjoy it, so I did watch. I gave it a go, but it wasn't for me. In terms of other stuff, I'm looking at. So, like I said, Silo, worth checking out. I'm not going to do a deep review of that now. There was another show I knew there was. Okay, so I got to talk about this. I saw a pilot for a new season, a spin-off of a well-known franchise. And I thought, well, this is probably going to be a bit naff. And you know what? It wasn't naff. It was really, really bloody good. So this comes with a massive Lancey 5-star recommendation. I know some people are going to howl at me, but hey. And I've got mixed feelings about the other various shows, but The Walking Dead, Dead City, I thought was absolutely awesome. It was like watching, I mean, the depiction of New York, the way it's done, overrun by zombies. You've basically got Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing Negan, Lauren Cohan playing Maggie, two absolutely fantastic powerhouse actors playing two very well-established characters. One killed the boyfriend of the other in the show previously. Now they have to team up. It's a very uneasy alliance and go into New York by boat, only way because all the bridges have been blown up. And they're there to try and rescue Maggie's son. And it's a very uneasy alliance. but the visuals for this are amazing. Props to the special effects team. This is where I want to see my CGI in a show like this, where you're going to show me New York. It's devastated. You're going to show me crowds of zombies in streets. You're going to show me kind of cool characters and the way the different groups have adapted to the city and how they still live in it and survive. It's a great show. Now, look, if you haven't previously liked the Walking Dead shows, I'm going to say give this one a go. I don't think it's essential for you to have seen the previous shows. I would say that it will give you a good background in the kind of the narrative and the character dynamics between the various characters. Yeah, look, Melvin, I get it. I mean, look, first and foremost, I read the Walking Dead graphic novels. I've got them all in the other room, the whole story from start to finish, and I'm a big fan of it. When the TV show first came out, they went into it very slowly. They didn't go too big on some things. They had a big opening couple of scenes, but once they got out of the city, the world went very low budget for a while, and I get why a lot of people found the show boring and so on. Well, there is a reason why Maggie will tolerate Negan for the minute, but there's been a number of times when she's wanted to kill him and nearly has, and we're only 2 episodes in. So that narrative is played on in quite a realistic level. They're not chums in any sense of the word. It may well be that she ends up killing him. I have a feeling that one or other of them is going to die in the show. I don't see how they're both going to get out alive, and I think it's probably going to be Negan, and he's probably going to redeem himself for his past actions by ultimately saving her son. I feel that's where it's going. But look, this show, listen, watch the first episode. It's worth seeing for the visuals alone. You could watch it and go, oh, visuals are nice. Lance was right about the visuals, but I'm still not going to watch it. Totally fine. But listen, I've got to tell you, there's some shots in this show, and these are not the ones I'm talking about. Now, I mean, that looks pretty naff right here. But when you see the shots live, they're actually really convincing. I think that's part of the opening title sequence anyway. Sorry, so it's got that kind of... But this is one of the things I'm talking about. So there's a lot of stuff like this. And you've got these groups of gangs that kind of use skylines to get over the city and stuff like that. That's how they travel about. I think that's part of the title sequence again. Yeah, but it's really well done. They've really made it look good, and that's why I was like, watched 20 minutes of it, and I was like, oh, I thought this was going to be boring. So I just yeah, no, Keith, sorry mate, I didn't highlight it, but I picked up on your comment that was about Full Monty, so thanks for that. There's Maggie nearly killing Negan, and she doesn't, because actually he's got something that he knows that can help her save her son. So you wouldn't kill the person that would save your son, would you? But you might kill him another time. Like I say, it's really well done. I don't know where it's shot. I don't know if it's actually shot in New York or what, but I think it's a great addition to the franchise. I know the franchise has its fans, and so on. So yeah, I'm going to recommend this show. I give the pilot a 9 out of 10. So I'm just saying, so 9 out of 10 from me on IMDb for the pilot. Episode 2, we're back into some familiar territory, but it wasn't boring. Only the first 2 episodes are out. So yeah, I mean, second episode I give an 8. So at the minute, because you see, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is such a watchable actor, and Negan is such a delicious character. But Negan's had a big character arc, and of course Maggie's character also. Big character arc. So I'm going to wrap up shortly because it's getting on. Now, I will comment on Hollywood, which is an old show that sadly didn't get commissioned for a second season. I kind of liked it. It was sort of an alternative history of what might happen if certain people made slightly different decisions in Hollywood that would then impact the rest of the world and culture. It was a little bit it was a little bit too hopeful in that direction, I think. But I did like it. Jim Parsons was particularly evil in the show. I mean, this is a show that many of you probably aren't going to watch because, as I said, it got cancelled. So it leaves a lot of open-ended storylines. It's probably in that context, it might not be the best use of your time. I'm just going to give a shout out to this actor, who, by the way, is also a well-known Broadway director and actor. He also is an acting coach. Joe Mantello is an absolutely phenomenal stage actor. If you catch his scene in The Normal Heart, which of course is based on the book by Larry Kramer about the HIV epidemic in the 1980s in New York, and if you catch his scene towards the end of the movie, I guarantee you the acting will blow you away. He is a phenomenal actor. I would love to have worked with him in my lifetime if I could. God, to direct him in a play would have been just a dream come true. So the reason I came on here was because Josh is asking me about Darren Cronsweat. He plays an aspiring young actor in Hollywood, if I remember rightly. And okay, so he's now playing Superman, is he? I'm a bit confused. So I haven't seen Pearl. I have seen We Own This City. Pretty good. He's pretty good in that, actually. Yeah, I'm just trying to see some scenes of him in Hollywood. So this is Pearl, which I haven't seen. We Own It. Yeah, he's good in We Own This City. I mean, that's a good show that's worth watching anyway. The Politician, I haven't seen that. Project Payday, I haven't seen. I mean, I seem to recall that he's like an aspiring actor who's a closet gay in Hollywood, if I remember rightly. Now, I might be wrong about that. Yeah, good actor. Hollywood's a good show, but again, it's not going to go anywhere because it was cancelled. So, I can't recommend it. Tom said it was interesting. Yeah, it had some interesting ideas. It was a little bit pandering to some current politics a little bit too much, but it did do some really interesting stuff. It had some really interesting takes on characters that were around at that time. Some very good interpretations. Yeah, I did enjoy it for what it was, but sadly. And Tom, I haven't seen you on the channel before. I haven't seen you in the chat. Welcome to the channel, by the way. I'll try and do that with every new person if I can. So glad to have you here. If you've subscribed, I personally thank you now. Thank you very much for coming in. We've got a lot of content about the film industry, including with people who work on it. You can find on the channel. Guys, do check out the David McGiffert interview. That's the last. We've got 31, I think, industry interviews on the channel. I have got an interview coming soon. I'll tell you who the next industry interview is. Now, I'm trying to get everybody in different departments. I've had a couple of stuntmen. I've had one of Hollywood's hardest working stuntmen, Alan Graff, who's done pretty much every Walter Hill film on the planet. I've also had Anthony DeLongis, who started his career in television in the 70s. He was in one of my favorite fantasy films, Sword and the Sorcerer. He runs a stunt ranch in Northern California. I'm hoping to do a show from that ranch some stage in the future. But I have yet to have a stunt woman on the show. I haven't had a stunt woman. And I noticed when we were looking at some older films the other day, and I there was a big long list of stunt women in one particular film, and one of the one of the women who was in this. There was a couple of stunt legends in this particular movie that we were talking about. On Retro Nerd Girl was talking about this film on her channel, and I checked out these people, and I noticed they had very substantial IMDb credits, and I thought, well, I've got to try and get one of these ladies on my show. And I reached out to one of them, and the first lady that I reached out to got back to me within minutes of me contacting her. I mean, it literally was that fast. I left the message, kind of went away from my computer to make a sandwich. I came back into the office, and there was there was a reply saying, "Hi Lance, yeah, I'm very interested. Let me check out your channel." And then the next day, she came back again and said, "Hey, I just watched your David McGiffert interview. That's the guy who's the first assistant director on all 3 Back to the Future films, and I'd love to come on your I'd love to come on your channel." So now I'm trying to find her name because I'm sorry, my memory is absolutely atrocious. I mean, I do have brain damage, so I've got an excuse. But I just want to get her name correct. I don't want to get it wrong. Anyway, this woman has been in the industry for a long time. And she has been in a lot of movies, like a lot. Yeah, I mean, so we've just got to pin down a date. We've got to pin down a date with her and see what we can do in terms of getting her on. But I've suggested a Wednesday evening, which is when I normally do industry interviews. So it normally will take precedent over a kind of a weekly roundup. And of course, sometimes it's fine to do a roundup after a few weeks, as tonight has demonstrated. But I'll tell you the lady's name. Here we go. It's Debbie Evans. Debbie Evans is the lady in question. So I'm going to get her IMDb credits up so you guys can see who I'm talking about. She's now goes by the name of Debbie Evans Livette, and I'm assuming that's her married name as opposed to the main one. So if you want to check out Debbie Evans's IMDb, let me just grab it for you, and I'll pop the link in the chat. In fact, we might have a quick look at it. Should we have a quick look at it before I wrap up for the night? There's still 7 of you here. I think we'll have a quick look. I do like hanging out with you guys. So let's have a look. Debbie Evans. Let me get her up here. Stunts Fast and Furious. There you go. That'd be the one. Now, she is a motorcycle champion, among other things. And yeah, this is the lady in question. She's had quite a few stunt awards, of course, because they do have their own award ceremony for the stunt industry. I don't know if you know that, but so this is the lady. And she has got, now check this out, guys and girls, 400 stunt credits. 400. Okay. So her last couple of credits were the Batman and the Grey Man stunt performer, as you can see. She's actually produced a little movie. She's done a few acting things as well, but she's done stunt coordinator on a couple of films, including Terminator Dark Fate. But if we go all the way back to her beginnings of her career, and these are exactly the kinds of people that I love interviewing on the channel, because you'll see we've interviewed like British actor Phil Davis, who's been working in the industry for like 5 decades. We've interviewed British actor Jason Flemyng, who's been working in the industry for 3.5 decades. Now, this is a lady who has been working in the stunt profession all the way back to keep going. Look at this. I mean, 400 credits, guys. She has been working. We're in the 80s now. We're still going. We're in the 70s. We're still going. So her first stunt credit was on The Young and the Restless in 1973. So you can see that I am not going to be short of questions to ask Debbie Evans-Levitt. You know, I don't know how long we'll get her on for. We'll go for the usual 90 minutes, and we'll see what happens. I don't know the date of this yet, guys, but you can see. So, you know, Charlie's Angels, Airplane, Smokey and the Bandit, Heaven's Gate, Magnum PI. I'm just reading out some of the things people would know. Cagney and Lacey, Quincy, Chips, V, Streets of Fire. That was probably under Alan Graff. Cannonball Run 2, Hill Street Blues. You've got Secret Admirer. That's a film I really love. Most of you won't have seen that. Jagged Edge, another great movie. Remington Steele, Cobra with Sylvester Stallone. We've got the A-Team there, Three Amigos, which is a film I do not love. The Witches of Eastwick, another great film. No Man's Land, that's another great movie. Prince of Darkness, Robocop, look at that. So a few biggies there. You've also got, don't know about that, The Taking of Flight 847. That sounds like a movie I should check out. Still going, we've got Heathers. Look, They Live. So she's done quite a bit with John Carpenter. Exterminator, Twins, Ghostbusters 2, Alien Nation, Darkman, Back to the Future 3, Beverly Hills 90210, Kindergarten Cop, Beastmaster 2, Terminator 2, Doogie Howser MD, Father of the Bride. And it's still going on and on and on. I mean, look at this. Cliffhanger, Last Action Hero, Demolition Man, The Puppet Masters. That's a great movie, that. Murder in the First, Freaky Friday. That's the remake, of course. Strange Days, Showgirls. Interesting. We definitely have to ask her about that one. Barbed Wire, Independence Day. I'm sorry, I do love Independence Day. Guilty pleasure. Batman and Robin, Deep Impact. You've got Lethal Weapon 4 there. What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams, of course. ER, one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Magnolia, one of my favorite films of all time. Mission Impossible 2. I happen to like Mission Impossible 2. A lot of people don't, but I like it. Evolution, Guardian, Fast and Furious. There you go. It's the first one of those. 24. I think that's one of the early seasons of that. Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle, second Fast and Furious, Jeepers Creepers 2, Bad Boys 2. I mean, this is a woman whose work is you can tell how beloved somebody is in the industry when they work this frequently. This is an extensive CV. You know, we are not going to be short of questions to ask this lady. And the list goes on. I could read out more, but we'll be here all night. So keep an eye out, guys, because guys and girls, we are going to be doing an interview with Debbie Evans. At least I hope so. She said she's up for it. I just need to, secure a date with her. She is picking up stunt awards. One of my friends has got that one, actually. One of my stunt coordinator friends, in fact, holds that same trophy, I believe. So I'll let you know when that's going to be. That's one of the industry interviews I've got lined up. We're still trying to get Nick McLean, who is the DOP on The Goonies and Cannonball Run. We're hoping to sort out the technicals with him. That's why that interview didn't happen. He's in a bit of an internet blind spot, but does want to do the interview from his home. We're going to see what we can work out there. So there's more stuff to come up. So listen, those of you that have been watching the stream, thanks very much. This channel means a lot to me. I really do appreciate your support. Thank you for the comment there, Thomas. Yeah, me too. I do like to see. I like to see it after I've seen the movie. I don't want to see how stunts are done before I go and see the film. But yeah, absolutely. And Rocky Taylor would be a great guest too. Listen, if you know people in the industry, this is the channel where I want to talk to them. And I want to talk to somebody in every position on set. So I'm going to have a runner come on. And you might not think that that's going to be an interesting stream, but I promise you it will be. I want to talk to a caterer. I've done a first AD. I want more first ADs, second AD, third AD. I'm going to have a focus puller. I want a sound recordist. I want a sound mixer guy. We're going to have some composers come on. So I'm already talking to people in all of these positions on the crew set, and of course more actors particularly people that do character actor roles and supporting cast. I'm really looking forward to getting more people on. And I research my guests very well. I have good questions for them. Just look at the David McGiffert interview. I did a ton of research for that interview, and I've had fantastic feedback about it. Okay, guys, I think that's me out. So look, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember that my roundups tend to be on this kind of time on a Wednesday. My guest streams are late on a Tuesday. They start a little bit later than this one started, but it would be running around this kind of time. They go on a bit longer normally about 3 hours, where we contrast two films. Next week we are doing Wire Up and Tombstone, two films about the same subject, made about a year apart, released about a year apart. We're going to compare and contrast. That's going to be good fun. Doing that next Tuesday, 11:30 p.m. UK time. So I think that's about 5 or 6:30 East Coast, something like that. 1:30 in the afternoon, or no, sorry, 3:30 in the afternoon. I think West Coast. And Thomas, thank you very much. I haven't seen you in the chat before. I hope to see you again. I love people that contribute to the chat, and I do also bring on people from the chat onto the stream occasionally. So if you're up for coming on, you can always tell me, and tell me what your interests are, and if there's something that where we've got a stream where I think it'd be cool to discuss this topic with you, we may well bring you on for a little bit. So yeah, David Macy, always a pleasure, mate. Great to see you. You're on every stream we do. It's really nice to see the regulars. Thanks, Josh, for modding again. And look, I'll see you all again real soon. And I say this every time. If there's someone in the world that you care about and you haven't spoken to them for a while, pick up the phone and call them. Don't send them a text. All right. I'll see you all again real soon.